Do you really know what happens in Purgatory on Christmas Day? Not what most people imagine, not simply a distant celebration, but something deeply mysterious. Something Padre Pio revealed only to those who truly listened. On December 25th, at the stroke of midnight, as the world celebrates the birth of Christ, an invisible door opens between heaven and purgatory, and the baby Jesus himself descends to those waiting souls. Padre Pio used to say, "What those souls witness on that night, no living person can fully comprehend. They see the same child who was born in Bethlehem, but this time, he comes for them." Today, I'm going to reveal what Padre Pio taught about this Christmas mystery. This ritual he asked to be repeated exactly 25 times, and why the souls in purgatory await this night, with a hope you can't even fathom. But before we begin, there's something you must understand. This isn't just a simple devotion. It's a participation in the very mystery of the Incarnation. When you perform this ritual on Christmas Day, you aren't praying alone. You're uniting yourself to the very movement of God, descending to suffering souls. Padre Pio would weep every year at Christmas, not from joy like others, but because he saw what we don't see. He saw the souls in purgatory reaching out their hands towards the baby Jesus. He saw some being instantly released, and he saw others who continued to wait, because no one on earth was praying for them. On this night, you can change the eternal destiny of a soul, perhaps even many, if you do what Padre Pio taught. The mystery I'm about to reveal begins with a simple question. Why did God choose to be born as a child? Not as a mighty king, not as a glorious angel, but as a fragile baby in a manger. Padre Pio gave an answer that few know. He said the baby Jesus came small, so that even the most broken souls wouldn't be afraid to approach him. Do you understand? In purgatory, souls see their sins with terrible clarity. They feel unworthy. They're ashamed to appear before the majesty of God. But when they see a child, something changes within them. Even the soul most burdened by guilt can't be afraid of a newborn. That's why the baby Jesus descends into purgatory on Christmas Day. Not the glorious Christ of the resurrection, not the judge of the last day, but the babe of Bethlehem enwrapped in swaddling clothes, carrying the light of heaven in his tiny hands. Padre Pio recounted a vision he had one December 25th. He was in prayer in his cell at San Giovanni Rotondo. The night was cold and silent, and suddenly he saw. "I saw the baby Jesus," he said, "but not like in pious images. He carried in his arms hundreds of little lights. Each light was a soul, and he was smiling. He was smiling with infinite tenderness, and he whispered something I couldn't hear, but the souls heard it, and they wept with joy." Padre Pio could never recount this vision without weeping himself, for he knew what that smile signified. For a soul in purgatory, to see the smile of the baby Jesus is like seeing the sun after years in darkness. It's the promise that suffering will end, that heaven finally opens. But here's what Padre Pio always added, and this is crucial for you today. He said, "The baby Jesus descends to purgatory every Christmas, but he can only take away the souls for whom someone has prayed on earth. The others, he looks at them with sadness, and he says to them, 'Wait a little longer. Perhaps next year, someone will pray for you.'" Do you now understand why this ritual is so important? Why I'm sharing it with you today? You have the power, on this Christmas Day, to decide if a soul will see the smile of the baby Jesus, or if it will have to wait another year, a whole year of purification, because no one thought of it. The ritual that Padre Pio taught for Christmas is very precise. It must be done 25 times, once for each day of December leading up to the 25th. But it isn't simply repeating a prayer, it's something much deeper. Here's how Padre Pio taught it. First step, find a quiet place. This could be a church if you're able, or simply a corner of your home. where you won't be disturbed. Second step, light a white candle. Padre Pio said, the candle represents the baby Jesus, the light that comes into the darkness. When you light this candle on Christmas Day, you do on earth what heaven does in purgatory. You bring light to the souls in darkness. Third step, take your rosary, but don't immediately begin to pray. First, close your eyes and imagine the baby Jesus in the nativity scene. See his small form, feel the straw around him, see Mary and Joseph watching over him, and now, imagine that instead of the cave of Bethlehem. The nativity scene is in the middle of purgatory. The suffering souls are all around. They look at the child with eyes full of hope. And you're there too, invisible but present, holding your rosary, ready to pray for their release. Padre Pio said that this visualization was essential because it connects you spiritually to what's really happening. On Christmas Day, the veil between the worlds is thinner. Your prayer reaches the souls more directly, and the baby Jesus himself receives it. Fourth step. Now, begin the ritual itself. Here are the exact words that Padre Pio taught. Baby Jesus, born this day in Bethlehem, you who took on our flesh to save us, descend now into purgatory and release the souls who await your light, through the merits of your holy birth, through the tears of your mother Mary, through the blood that you will one day shed for us. Open the gates of heaven and let in those who have finished their purification. I offer you this prayer for the soul of, and here you pronounce the name of the person. If you don't know a specific name, you can say, for the most abandoned soul in purgatory, or for the soul that suffers the most at this moment. Padre Pio preferred this second formulation because he said, the most abandoned souls are those who need us most. They're the ones that no one knows, that no one visits. Whose? And yet, so often, it's the souls closest to liberation. They're just missing a prayer, a single, sincere prayer, so that the baby Jesus can take them into his arms. After saying this prayer, you recite a rosary. Then you start again, 25 times in total. It will take some time, maybe half an hour, maybe longer if you pray slowly. But Padre Pio was very clear on this point. He would say, never rush this prayer. Each repetition is a gift for a different soul. Imagine you are a spiritual Santa Claus, and each prayer is a gift you place in purgatory. 25 gifts for 25 souls. On the day the world celebrates gifts, you give the greatest gift possible, eternal liberation. Now, let me tell you a story that Padre Pio often told at Christmas. There was a woman in Italy, in the 1940s, who had lost her husband during the war. He had died in combat, without being able to receive the last rites, without being able to confess. She was desperate, convinced that her husband was suffering in purgatory. Maybe even she feared the worst. She came to see Padre Pio on December 24th, Christmas Eve. She was weeping. She said to him, Padre, I beg you, tell me where my husband is. Tell me if he is saved. Padre Pio looked at her with infinite tenderness, and he said to her, my daughter, tomorrow is Christmas. The baby Jesus will descend into purgatory. If you do what I tell you, your husband might be freed, even tomorrow. He taught her this same ritual, 25 times, from sunset on the 24th until dawn on the 25th. She prayed all night, without sleeping, without eating. Just her candle and her rosary, and at dawn, something happened. She felt a presence in the room, not frightening, but warm, like a summer breeze. And she heard, or perhaps imagined, the voice of her husband, who simply said to her, thank you, I see the light now. She went back to see Padre Pio the next day, before she could even speak. He smiled at her and said, you see, the baby Jesus took him in his arms that night. Your husband is in heaven now, and he's waiting for you. This story wasn't unique. Padre Pio told several similar ones, of souls freed specifically on Christmas Day, thanks to this ritual of 25 repetitions. There was also the story of a priest, an old priest who had died in the 1930s. He had been a good priest all his life, but he had one flaw. He was very hard on sinners. When people came to confess, he would sometimes scold them too severely. He shamed them instead of consoling them. This priest had died convinced he had done his duty, but in purgatory he understood that every harsh word had wounded fragile souls. Some had even left the church because of him, and he had to repair that. Year after year, he waited in purgatory. No one prayed for him because he had no family, and his former parishioners had forgotten him. Then, on December 25th, an old woman, who had been one of his parishioners, did this ritual of 25 repetitions. Without even thinking of that particular priest, she was praying for the most abandoned soul in purgatory, and that soul was him. The baby Jesus came to get him that night, and when he arrived in heaven, the first thing he did was to ask forgiveness from all the souls he had wounded with his harsh words, and they forgave him instantly, because in heaven there is no more resentment. Padre Pio also told the story of a mother who had lost a child very young. This child was only 7 years old, but in his short life, he had committed a small sin. He had stolen an apple from the neighbor, a child's sin, almost nothing. But in purgatory, even the smallest debts must be paid. This mother didn't know that her child was in purgatory. She thought he was directly in heaven because he was so young and so innocent. But one Christmas, she did this ritual, not for her child, but for her own deceased father. And during the night, she dreamed of her son. He was smiling. He was holding the baby Jesus' hand, and he said to her, "Mom, I'm free now. Thank you for your prayers." She woke up crying with joy, and she understood that her prayer had freed not only her father, but also her son, because heaven is generous. And when you pray with a pure heart, God gives more than what you ask for. Padre Pio would say, on Christmas Day, do not limit your prayer to a single soul. Pray for all those that God wants to free, and let him choose, and for he knows better than you, which souls are ready, and which souls need your prayer most. And every year, he encouraged his spiritual children, his faithful, to do this ritual for the soul, because, he said, on Christmas Day, heaven is particularly generous. God rarely refuses anything that day, because it's the day he gave his Son to the world. How could he refuse a soul as when we ask him in the name of that same Son? Now there is something deeper that I must explain to you. Why 25 times? Why not 10 times or 30 times? Padre Pio gave a mystical answer. He said, 25 corresponds to the 25th day, the day of the Nativity, but it's also 5 times 5, and 5 is the number of Christ's wounds. When you pray 25 times, you invoke the 5 wounds 5 times and the 2 hands and the 2 feet and the side. You unite the birth of Bethlehem to the death of Calvary, because one does not go without the other. The baby Jesus was born to die, and he died so that we might live. When you pray 25 times, you embrace the entire mystery, from the incarnation to the redemption, and this complete prayer opens the doors of purgatory like nothing else can do on that day. Yeah, there is another mystical aspect of the number 25 that Padre Pio only revealed to those most advanced spiritually. He said, 25 is also the age of Mary when she gave birth to Jesus. She was about 14 or 15 years old at the Annunciation, and about 25 years old when Jesus began his public ministry. But above all, 25 represents the 25 years of Jesus' hidden life, the years in Nazareth, or rather, no one knew him. So he lived in silence and labor. These 25 years, Padre Pio said, are like the purgatory of Jesus on earth, a time of waiting, a time of preparation, a time when he could not yet accomplish his mission. When you pray 25 times, you honor these 25 years of Christ's patience, and in return, he accelerates the time of patience for souls in purgatory. There was also another reason. simpler but just as important. Padre Pio said, 25 is the time necessary to truly enter into prayer. The first 10 times, your mind still wanders. You think of something else. You aren't truly present. But after the 10th time, something begins to change. Fast, your mind calms, your heart opens, and the last 15 repetitions become deeper and deeper. The 25th is often the most powerful, because at that moment, you have truly prayed, not just recited words, but communicated with heaven. There's something else Padre Pio revealed about purgatory at Christmas, and this might surprise you. He said that the souls in purgatory celebrate Christmas, not as we do, of course. They cannot eat festive meals, nor open presents, nor sing joyful carols, but they celebrate in a much purer way. They relive in their memory all the Christmases they experienced on earth, all the moments of grace, all the midnight masses, all the prayers they offered before the nativity scene, and these memories, instead of saddening them, console them, because they remind them that God loves them, that He came to earth for them, and that one day they will see Him face to face. But Padre Pio added something troubling. He said, some souls in purgatory have no memory of Christmas. They never prayed before a nativity scene. They never attended a midnight mass. They lived empty Christmases, filled only with meals and gifts, without any thought for the one whose birth we celebrate. These souls, Padre Pio said, suffer more than others at Christmas because they see what they have missed. They finally understand what this feast should have meant, and they regret, oh how they regret, all those lost Christmases, all those opportunities to draw closer to God, which they wasted on worldly festivities. It's for these souls in particular that the ritual is important, because your prayer can bring them what they never had, a true celebration of Christmas, a connection with the baby Jesus, and perhaps, if God allows it, the liberation they await. Now I want to tell you about what exactly happens when the baby Jesus liberates a soul. Padre Pio described this moment with astonishing precision. He said, when a soul is ready to leave purgatory, it feels it even before the baby Jesus arrives. It's like when the sun is about to rise. First the darkness becomes a little less profound, then a glow appears on the horizon, then the light grows, until the day breaks in all its glory. For the soul, it's the same. It first feels a relief from its suffering. The pain diminishes. The waiting becomes less heavy. Then it begins to see a light in the distance, a warm golden light like honey. And that light approaches. It grows. It becomes more and more intense. But instead of hurting the eyes, it heals them. It opens them. The soul begins to see what it has never seen before, the beauty of God, the infinite tenderness of the Creator, the love that created the universe, and at the center of that light, the soul sees the baby Jesus, not as a distant image, but as a real person, present, alive, who looks at it with eyes full of love, and who holds out his arms. Padre Pio always wept at this moment of the story, because he had seen this with his own spiritual eyes. He had seen the baby Jesus welcoming the souls, and he said that this instant, this precise instant, was the most beautiful of all a soul's existence, more beautiful than any moment lived on earth, more beautiful even than birth or marriage, because it's the moment when the soul finally understands that everything it suffered, on earth and in purgatory, was worth it. To arrive at this instant, to be welcomed by the baby Jesus himself. Now here's what you need to do concretely today, or tomorrow if you're watching this on Christmas Eve. First, prepare yourself. Take a white candle. If you don't have one, a simple candle will do. Find your rosary. If you don't have a rosary, you can count on your fingers. Or use beads or small stones. The tool matters little. It's the intention that counts. Then, choose your moment. Padre Pio recommended starting at midnight on December 24th. and continuing until dawn on the 25th. But he also said, if you cannot stay awake all night, do the ritual at any time on December 25th, even in the evening, even late at night. The baby Jesus is present all day on his birthday. He has no schedule. He awaits your prayer. Then, do the complete ritual, 25 times. With the prayer I taught you, take your time. Don't rush. If you need to take a break, take it. But try to finish the 25 repetitions within the same day, because it's the unity of the gesture that gives it its power. Finally, after the ritual, remain in silence for a few minutes. Don't get up immediately. Remain seated or kneeling. And listen, Padre Pio said. After this ritual, some people hear something, not with their ears, but with their hearts. A whispered thank you, a feeling of peace, finds an inexplicable certainty that something has happened, that their prayer has been heard, that someone somewhere is now free. Don't look for spectacular signs. God speaks in silence, and the souls thank us in the secret of our hearts. Now I must warn you about something. This ritual is powerful, but it should never be done with pride. Padre Pio always warned his spiritual children. He said, never think that you are saving souls by your own power. You are only an instrument, a channel through which God's grace passes. If you do this ritual thinking, look how pious I am in, look how many souls I'm liberating, then your prayer loses all its value, because pride closes the doors of heaven. More surely than any sin, perform this ritual with humility. Acknowledge that you yourself are a sinner, that you will also need someone one day to pray for you and pray for the souls, as you would want others to pray for you. When your time comes, there is another important thing, because don't be discouraged if you feel nothing. Padre Pio used to say, feelings are not the measure of prayer. You can pray for hours without feeling the slightest emotion, and yet your prayer can be the most effective of your life. The souls don't care about what you feel, they care about what you do. A dry prayer, recited out of duty, with fatigue, even with distraction, is better than no prayer at all. So if, during the ritual, you feel tired, if your mind wanders, if you have no spiritual feeling, continue anyway. Finish the 25 repetitions, because every repetition counts. Even the ones you do without thinking. God sees your effort, and He rewards it. Now, let me tell you about an aspect of Christmas that many forget. While the world is celebrating, while families are gathering, while children are opening their presents, there are people who are alone, elderly people in nursing homes, sick people in hospitals, prisoners in their cells, homeless people on the cold streets, Padre Pio used to say. On Christmas Day, think also of these lonely living souls, for their suffering resembles that of the souls in purgatory. They are isolated, forgotten, waiting for someone to think of them. And if you can't visit them physically, you can include them in your ritual. Add an intention for them. Ask the baby Jesus to console them, to bring them a little of His light, even in their solitude. Padre Pio said that this double intention, for the dead and for the lonely living, was particularly powerful because it showed God that your heart was open to all suffering, not only to that of your loved ones, but to that of all God's children. Now, there's something I want to share with you, something that Padre Pio didn't tell everyone, but that he revealed to his closest spiritual children. He said, on Christmas Day, the baby Jesus not only frees souls from purgatory, He also frees the living from their inner prisons, from their habitual sins, from their addictions, from their fears, from everything that chains them. If you do this ritual on Christmas Day, and you yourself bear a chain, a habit you can't break, a sin that keeps coming back, a fear that paralyzes you, ask the baby Jesus to free you too. Because he came, not only for the dead, but for the living, not only for purgatory, but for the earth. And his birth is a universal liberation that concerns all who call upon him. Padre Pio told the story of a man who had been an alcoholic for 20 years. He had tried everything, the doctors, the rehabs, the promises. Nothing worked. One Christmas, desperate, he did this ritual, not for a soul in purgatory, but for himself. He prayed 25 times, asking the baby Jesus to free him from his addiction. And on December 26th in the morning, he woke up without any desire to drink. For the first time in 20 years, the desire had vanished completely, as if it had never existed. This man came to see Padre Pio, crying with joy, and Padre Pio told him, "The baby Jesus carried you in his arms. As he carries the souls from purgatory, you were a prisoner, and he freed you, because that is why he was born, to break all chains. Now, we are approaching the end of this teaching, but there is still something I must tell you, and it may be the most important," Padre Pio said. "The ritual of the 25 repetitions is powerful, but there is something even more powerful. It is midnight Mass. If you can attend Christmas Masses, do it, because at Mass, the baby Jesus doesn't just descend to purgatory. He descends onto the altar, in the bread and the wine, and he gives himself to you, body and blood, soul and divinity. When you receive communion at Christmas, you receive the same child who was born in Bethlehem, the same one who frees souls from purgatory, and you can offer this communion for the soul of your choice," Padre Pio said. "A communion offered on Christmas Day can free several souls at once, because it is the day when God is the most generous, when he refuses the least, when he gives the most. So, if you can, attend Mass, receive communion, and offer it for the souls in purgatory, and then, at home, do the ritual of the 25 repetitions, and you will have done more for the souls than almost anyone else that day." There is one last thing that Padre Pio taught about this ritual, something that many people don't understand. He said, "When you pray for the souls in purgatory, you are not only doing an act of charity towards the dead, you are also doing an act of preparation for your own death. Because one day you yourself will be in purgatory, and you will need someone to pray for you." Padre Pio was very direct on this point. He said, "Don't delude yourselves. Even the saints go through purgatory. Even the purest souls have some imperfections to purify. Only the martyrs and very young children go directly to heaven. Everyone else, even the priests, even the religious, even the most devoted souls, need a time of purification. But," added Padre Pio, "those who have prayed for the souls will themselves receive prayers in return. It is a spiritual law. What you give will be returned to you. If you free souls now, they will pray for you when you are in heaven, and they will help to free you faster." He told the story of a very rich man who had never prayed for the souls in his entire life. He gave money to the church, but he never thought about the dead. When he himself died, he found himself in purgatory with terrible suffering, and no one was praying for him because he had never prayed for anyone. His heirs had taken his money and forgotten him. Year after year he suffered, looking at the heaven he could not reach. Finally, after many years passed, a soul he didn't recognize had been praying for him, not out of personal charity, but simply because she prayed for the most abandoned souls. And that prayer liberated him. But all that lost time, Padre Pio would say, could have been avoided if he himself had prayed for others. There's also the story of an elderly nun who had spent her entire life praying for the souls in purgatory each and every day. She recited the rosary for them at every Mass. She offered communion for them, and each Christmas she performed that ritual of 25 repetitions. When she passed away, at the age of 90. She went straight to heaven, without even a moment in purgatory. Padre Pio had a vision of her arrival. He saw thousands of souls she had freed, who were waiting for her at the gates of paradise. They formed an honor guard, and they acclaimed her like a queen, because every prayer she had made had become a crown of glory. And now those souls were praying for her in return, not to free her, since she was already free, but to increase her eternal joy. Padre Pio would say. That nun understood the secret. She had invested her whole life in purgatory, and now she was reaping infinite treasures in heaven. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine purgatory right now. The souls who are waiting, who are hoping, who are counting the days until December 25th. Some of them may be your loved ones, your deceased parents, your grandparents and friends you have lost. A child, perhaps, a spouse, someone you loved deeply. Picture their faces, their anticipation, their hope that this year someone will pray for them. And now, imagine that you are that someone, that your prayer is the answer to their waiting, that your 25 repetitions are the 25 keys that unlock the gates of their prison, and that on December 25th, thanks to you, they will finally see the smile of the baby Jesus. They will feel his little hands touching them, and they will ascend to heaven, free for eternity. Padre Pio always ended this teaching with these words: on Christmas Day, do not be selfish with your prayer. Share the grace you receive with those who can no longer pray for themselves. And one day, when you yourself are in purgatory, because almost all of us will spend time there, someone will pray for you, and the baby Jesus will come and find you, and you will understand then what your prayer meant for those souls. And now you know what you must do. 25 times with faith, with humility, with love, for the souls who are waiting, for the souls of your loved ones, for the forgotten souls, for yourself perhaps. The baby Jesus awaits you, in purgatory, in Bethlehem, in your heart. Christmas is the day God descends to us. Do not miss this opportunity to ascend to him, taking with you all the souls you can save. May the baby Jesus bless you. May he grant you the grace of this ritual, and may he liberate, through your prayer, all the souls that the Father entrusts to him. Merry Christmas, and may the souls in purgatory thank you for eternity.